Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Make Life Less Taxing podcast, the show where we uncover what really creates freedom in life and business, and we'll explore stories of those who've learned how to build wealth with purpose.
Welcome back to the Make Life Less Taxing podcast. Today, I'm joined by Jenna Evola, founder of Evolve Systems. Jenna helps business owners and entrepreneurs step out of the overwhelm by building the systems, processes, and teams that allows their business to actually support their lives instead of consuming them. Jenna, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Jenna, when someone first enters your world, what are they usually struggling with? Or, what might be something that they need to do that they don't know yet?
Well, it's a great question. For me, it was the importance of once you build your business to a certain level, the next thing that you must solve for or you won't grow is how to delegate to a team and how to grow with other specialists helping you because you can't do it all forever. So figuring that out sooner than later once you get to that point is, something that I see that almost every business owner ends up having to go through at some point.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are our own bottleneck, and often we don't realize it. And even when we realize it, it's difficult to give it up.
Very difficult.
So,
yes.
Now, you work with hundreds of entrepreneurs and business owners. What kind of first drew you into this whole world of systems, delegation, and team support and keeps you there still?
Yeah, so I think it was a combination of my agency background, where I did manage big teams and big projects, and I was shown how to do it on a massive scale. And so I learned foundations really well through that. And then I actually founded a brick-and-mortar business a few years ago, and that was when I realized how much I did not know about business, even though I had all of that corporate experience and managing teams. It's very, very different when you're doing it yourself. So I essentially got into what I'm doing now because I was forced to solve problems for my own business, or it would have not survived. And so in solving those problems for myself, I realized a lot of other business owners were struggling with the same thing. And I had kind of a passion for, I really do love investing in other people and helping them grow their skill set in order to help you grow your business. The idea of it, once I got over the fact that I can't do it all on my own and that there might be other people that could do certain things in my business better than me. Once I got over that and realized how valuable building a team could be for my business, I started realizing I kind of have a passion for doing this for other business owners because I know the exact pain. I've been through it myself, and I've been able to grow exponentially and do things that I never thought that I'd be able to do because I have focused on growing a team in the last 2 years. So,
Yeah. Oh, I think most business owners, and I primarily work with advisors. I'm an advisor myself, recovering CFP as I call myself. We're all accidental business owners. We enter a
yes,
business or something that we love, but we've got no clue and idea. And not only that, we're thinking we're building a business, but when you look at the definition of business, it's an entity that can run without the owner or founder. Well, by that definition, most of us that call ourselves business owners are really not. And I
no,
think this is, yeah.
no. In fact, if we really look at it, we're just really low paid employees of our own creations. And so, it's I think it's a stage that every business owner goes through, but at a certain point, trying to exit the operator mentality, and trying to establish a way to have a 30,000-foot view of your business so that you can do what you do best. You're probably the ideas person if you're a business owner. That's how most of us end up being. And then executing those ideas becomes the challenge. So Yeah. We
That's
need
where
to
we
have
get
a team.
stuck in the weeds. I
That
think we
is
come
where we
up with
get,
ideas, and I know for me, I come up with like 5 million ideas a day, and and all these things we can do, and jumping from one project to the other, and it becomes very difficult when you're trying to do it all on your own. And
very.
we learned that right from very young age. Especially for me, I learned like, hey, if it's to be, it's up to me. So then when I become a business owner and when I have a team, my biggest stress was most of the time was trying to figure out what to get the team members to do.
Yeah.
And I did get a compliment from my VA the other day. She said, "Listen, Daniel, you remember like a couple of years ago where like you were just struggling to figure out what to do, and now I'm like doing stuff without you having me to ask." And I'm like, "Yeah," because that's so difficult for us. Because again, when we're building the business, we're all by ourselves. We have to do everything, and even when we bring somebody in, we don't have the SOPs. We don't have the kind of the structure to go and do these things. And sometimes, and I fall into that even right now, it's easier just to go and do it
Mm-hmm.
than delegate it. But the problem is not doing it just once. It's if you're doing it once means you're going to do it again and again and again. And it's the compound of that time. That's really the danger of somebody operating and even having a team and doing it on their own.
I know. And it's sometimes we are so busy in the day to day of our business that like thinking about stopping or slowing down to develop those SOPs and really
Yeah.
take a step back and what can I delegate? What should I delegate? Like sometimes just even thinking about that is like,
Yeah.
that's too much. Kick that can down the road. I'll do it later. And then a lot of times we do it never or way too late. And I think the more we do that, the more we solidify in our psyche that like we can't do this
Yeah.
or something bad is going to happen if I give up control. Um, and then even worse, I think if you haphazardly hire somebody and you expect them to be self-sufficient and you don't expect to have to do any training or, you know, I guess like developing of them, right? I see some people try to stick their employees in a broom closet and they're like, why aren't they performing for me? It's like, cause they're a human and they need you to tell them, like they need you to give them some direction, you know?
Yeah.
And they need to feel, like worthy in their role and they need to see the vision and they need to know where you're going, to get the best out of
Yeah.
them. But, where am I going with this? It's sometimes it feels like too exhausting to even think about it. But when you actually take a step back and you put in the work to do that and develop somebody or multiple somebodies on a team of yours, the leverage that you get back from it is immense and it
Mm.
is worth the payoff. And it does take some work and it does come later. And sometimes you have a bad hire and sometimes you blame yourself for that, but you learn from all of it and it is worthy to keep pursuing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, you bring a great point. I think I'm sure I'm not the only one that ever said, "Oh, if I could just go and find another Daniel that's just like me, that just thinks like me," and then the thought comes, uh, you will never find them because they have their own business and they've got no interest in working with somebody else. But there is that perception. So what you just mentioned, like you have to create the SOPs. You have to kind of, there is a saying that slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
actually have to slow down to go and do these things. What I sometimes find myself is I go and create all this stuff and then I forget about it.
Yeah. Oh,
And then a couple of months later, I'm like, oh no, I've got to go and do this thing. Then like, hold on, didn't I already go and do this? Right. And we've got all of these things that are created. So having actually developing it, but having somebody to go and take it that last 20% where it actually gets implemented, I think is the important part.
yeah. And if I'm being very transparent, having a team has kept me more honest
Mm,
with getting my tasks done, like just what you talked about. How many unfinished, I'm going to finish this by next Friday. This is my next, number one goal. How many times do we do that like a week, right? As
yeah,
business owners and we never finish anything. Now that I have a team around me, I tell them what my goals are. Like, hey, I want to get this out by a certain day or, order of priority. And I can't slip up as much now. And it's a good thing
You've made
for
a
me
commitment. You've
because I
actually
made a
like,
commitment
yeah.
and they reinforce that commitment. And I have people to be responsible for now, like their
Mm,
livelihoods depend on me. So when I think about slacking, when I think about being lazy, cutting a corner, being selfish, whatever, I have them to think about now. And I think that's a really good responsibility to
yeah.
have. And I think I would like to see other business owners viewing that responsibility that way a little bit more, because I think then you can change it from what feels like a bad pressure to a good pressure.
Mm. That's a good point. I mean, you talk a lot about helping people build a business that doesn't own them. What are
Yes.
some of the hidden ways that people end up trapped basically in their own business? Because I think a lot of us instead of building a house that's got doors and windows and roof and chimney, maybe even second story, we end up building an industrial chimney. No
Yeah.
doors, no windows. It's just this, you know, can't even see the hole at the top because it's so tiny because that chimney is just built so tall. So what are some of the trappings that you see?
Well, definitely the I think the cost fallacy of hiring someone. Um, I know that a lot of times when we get used to doing everything in our business, um, and we associate the amount of grind that we put in with our like worth and our value,
Hmm.
and this is just a way that we've been conditioned, then sometimes we feel like actual guilt about spending a penny on something that, well, I could just do that myself. That feels wasteful. That feels indulgent. It feels against
And
what
it's
we've been.
subconscious. I think that's the
It
danger of that. It's not
is.
a conscious decision, right?
I believe it is not a conscious decision for most of us.
Hmm.
But uh, I believe that if you can bring that to the forefront of your consciousness and really identify, um, you know, what you need, and what you truly should be delegating, because I, if you audit your day, if you audit your week and you look and you have a really honest conversation with yourself about what am I spending my time on? And then, hey, what's my hourly rate? Like, what am I getting paid right now, right? As the operator of my business. Okay. Maybe my rate is $100 an hour. Let's just say, should I be doing any tasks at that point that are $25 an hour tasks, $10 an hour tasks, if we
Yeah.
can find it in the Philippines? No. So, although it might feel indulgent to spend any amount of money on something that you could do yourself in your business, I think we really like it's a dangerous mindset. And if you can get over that, you'll see the benefit. And it's no longer like, I often say that I believe, and I could put money to this. I think I get 10 times output what I pay my
Yeah.
staff from them,
Wow.
because of the way that we've created a company culture, systems. They clearly know what their role is and what the mission is on the team. So they're motivated. They continue to learn and upskill. The longer they're with me, the more value I get out of them. Right. So, um, it is not a waste. It is not like a business expense that you just can't take on. I would argue that it's something that like you would be stupid to not take on. You're actually losing money. You don't
Yeah.
think you're losing money, but you're actually losing
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. No, 100%. Especially when you're saying the value of what somebody's worth, right? And I mean, if you're the owner, right, you have the biggest value, you're the biggest asset in the business. Unfortunately, you're the only asset in the business, and we got to figure out how do you make the business the biggest asset and you're contributing to it, right, as opposed to the other way around. And that's really what making life less taxing is all about, and the movement that I'm leading, keep what is yours and break free. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that is break free from the traditional way of doing things or the way that you are doing things. And I think what you mentioned, for a business owner and advisor to sit down and audit their day, and not only audit it for what you're doing, but then also looking at what are the things that you're doing. And you know what, we're making this about money. I think part of it is the biggest tax is the energy. There are
Yes.
some things in my business that, like, I don't want to go and touch with a 10-foot pole.
Yep.
In the past I had to go and do them, but it's like, no, I don't have to do them. I've got somebody else to do it. But you mentioned something, the guilt. Sometimes I feel guilty to go and delegating something to somebody. And again, it's because there are no guardrails. There is no like
Hmm.
rules that it is okay for me as the owner not to have to go and do something. But we've just kind of been ingrained, like I said, kind of been plugged into that matrix, like, oh, we're the business owner, we've got to grind hard and we've got to work harder than anybody else because we've got to lead by an example. And it's like, that is such a lie that we don't have to do, right?
So much so. And I'm so glad you brought that up. It's all of that is so true. And I hear, I talk to so many business owners and I hear this over and over again. When we really drill down to it, like they feel guilt. Why do we feel guilt for hiring somebody to help us grow our business? But we do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it comes to the way we grew up, and put it that way. Both you and I are working with Josh, and he talks about this red dot, blue dot. He talks about this
Yes.
world of scarcity and world of abundance. Listen, I was born in world of scarcity. I'm originally from Czechoslovakia. You want to talk about scarcity? I think you look at the definition, scarcity, it says Daniel Hanzelka after that. I had to work on myself and still have to remind myself of that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you wanted to do something when I was growing up, you had to go and build it and do it yourself, right? Like you could not go and buy it in the store just because of the socioeconomics living under communism and everything. And that is so ingrained. And I think this is the subconscious that we're talking about, that even when you bring people on, we do have that guilt because it has been so ingrained in us, and what and how we're actually thinking and how we're now operating. And this is again where you got to break free from that. You got to start realize that, hey, you know what? It is not only okay, you must do it, because if you don't go and grow your business, you're basically destroying your business,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
hiring somebody, as you mentioned, is actually an investment into your business. It's not an expense, but it's unfortunate that sometimes how people looking at that just reminds me, I was talking to one advisor and he built $1 million practice, but he looked at his employees and as an expense. Everything was an expense for him just because of what and how he built it. And again, he built a business that really wasn't built the way he wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And I could feel the heaviness. And unfortunately, it was down to the point where he was contemplating committing suicide because what he built. And I'm like, this is insane. How do we get to that place where we literally have the power and control not to, like I said, building this chimney, where he just felt trapped by his business. And it's so unfortunate.
That that's also another, unfortunately, all too common story that I hear speaking with other business owners, because so many of them are burned out.
Mm,
They're like, they don't know what to do about it. They built their business in a way that they don't even like, and now they're trapped in it. Right. So like, while we're building, let's be more conscious about
mm,
this so that we don't get ourselves into that type of position. But yeah, I've been in rooms recently where, business owners break down crying on stage
mm,
because they're so burned out and they don't know what to do next. And I think that we have all also been programmed to feel a lot of shame about feeling that way,
mm.
because we're supposed to be able to handle everything. We're the ones steering the ship. Everybody's looking to us to have the answers. And we don't have all the answers, but we don't, I mean, we can't say that, you know?
So,
Um,
so hold on. You just said we can't say that, but you know what? We really need to say that. I was in a seminar, and that was one of the questions that the speaker have asked. Everybody was in a group, and there was probably close to 1,000 entrepreneurs, business owners from all level of success.
mhm.
And one of the questions they asked, going, "Hey, what's the one thing you don't want anybody to know in your business?" And we all written down in our journal.
Wow.
Then they put us around a table, and I was the third guy around the table. And listen, I'm looking at, I hear the first two answers, and my answer was like, guys, why did you copy my notes? Literally, the first two guys said exactly what I said, because what I had written down was like, I feel like one day somebody's going to find out that I don't have it all figured out, that I don't know what I'm doing. And most days I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. But we're in this room where basically 1,000 entrepreneurs from all levels, like we're talking guys that had huge businesses, right? And they all felt the same way because, again, we're human beings. The feeling doesn't go away. What's
Yeah.
happening externally doesn't matter. And I've seen a lot of people that are running successful multi-million dollar businesses, they still feel the same way. Like, that's crazy.
It is crazy. And, the more I am in these types of rooms and the more I connect with other entrepreneurs, the more I realize how important us networking amongst ourselves. We're all on this lonely journey, but we could be doing it together. But most of us, you had 1,000 people in the room that were kind of all saying the same thing. We all have the same secret fears, guilt, shame, problems going on, but we also feel like we can't share about it. And so having a really trusted network of people that are on a similar mission that you can go to when times are tough, when you're having a moment like that, I think it's been the most important thing that I have found in my business journey is finding those other people that you can have those real conversations with. And then they can give you some guidance too. Like, hey, you're being, you're running yourself into the ground. You're looking at this the wrong way.
Yeah.
Why don't, I went through that before and here's what I did and here's how it worked out. Those conversations will sure make you feel more normal and a lot less stressed and less alone.
You
And
just
I
said
can,
something, feel
yeah.
normal. I think that's what we're after. Like, oh, I'm okay. Oh, you feel like that? I do
Mhm.
remember when I was talking to somebody and they mentioned something that I was just going through. I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much to just know that it's not just me. There are other people that are going through similar type of things.
Yeah. And,
So,
one kind of interesting thing that I've observed in myself is, you know, um, when you when you are a builder of anything, when you're sort of saying, I'm captain of solving problems, I'm steering the ship, you you take on a different responsibility. And it feels heavy sometimes. And having being able to have a team, it doesn't even have to be like a network of
yeah.
people, but having your own team that knows the ins and outs of what is going on and is able to support you. That becomes important too. But I wanted to say I know a lot of business owners end up realizing that they have to kind of work on personal development at a level that they never
Hmm.
dreamed of just by being in this position, because the things that will naturally happen will force you to look at your patterns, your trauma, the way that you communicate with people. Why am I not getting what I want? Why do I feel stuck? It's like a level of personal development and therapy, if you will, that you will be pushed into that you probably like weren't ready for and didn't realize was about to happen to you. And so, at a certain point, I went to therapy, like regular therapy, because I was so stressed about business
Hmm.
stuff. And it was kind of funny. I learned through that like a therapist could never make you feel better about what's going on because they're just going to go, well, how do you feel about that? I feel stressed. Okay. Very stressed. That's why I'm talking to you. When I talk to another business owner, they don't go, how do you feel about that? They go, oh my God, that happened to me too. And let me make you feel more normal about it. That
Yeah.
is the therapy that I think that we need.
Yeah. No, you bring out a great point. And again, each of us kind of deal with it a little bit differently, but just feeling that normalcy and feeling that pressure and feeling and having an out. And I think what's a little bit crazy about that, how it's sad that, I mean, obviously we don't want to go and share things like when things are not going well with clients, right? I think there are some maybe business owners that let it go out a little bit on their clients and then they're, blaming the clients for that. Or it's like, no, those are more of an internal things. But
Hmm.
it's quite sad that, yeah, we're trying to compete. And I think with social media and all of this stuff, everybody's putting One of my coaches said this, I'm going to show you my overnight success that took me 40 years. Because that's literally what it is, right? There is no overnight success. Nobody becomes successful overnight. There is, like, people look at Mr. Beast for an example, right? Looking at what he
Hmm.
has right now. Like, you go backwards and you're looking at the stuff that he was growing, and a little bit was maybe a grind and doing that stuff. Again, he built a business where I think he enjoyed what he was doing. I think the sad part is when people go and put in time and effort in the grind, and then they get to the top and realize their ladder is literally against the wrong wall.
Yes.
And
Yep.
they become so disillusioned with everything, right? And that's probably the hardest thing because they never checked, like, hey, hang on, am I actually climbing the right ladder here? Am I in the right place? Am I building the business that, I want to build? Like, that's what I went through. I had a marketing agency, and I started to realize that the more successful I became, the more problems I was having with clients' complaints and everything. And it's like, I I don't want to do that. Like, it was fine for right now. I don't want to go and, keep on doing that. So I completely broke it down, and I'm building business a little bit different. And for me, what's important now, I'm building the business doing the work that I love with the people that I enjoy working
Yep.
with whenever I want and wherever I want. So I'm not tied into that. And then I realize the clients that I'm working with, which are mostly insurance and financial advisor, they want the same thing. So it's like, hey, I'm building this for me. This is what I'm building. Why don't you come along the ride? And I'm going to help you to build the same thing in your business. You know? So I think kind of sounds like similar to your story where, like,
Yes.
all of the things that we've learned, right? We can actually go and help others to go and build and do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you can build your business around creating value that lights you up, right? Like that energizes you. We talk a lot in our group about, like, does it bring you energy? Does it take energy away from you? And how is that going to work out for you in the end in your business? It's so important to identify that.
Mm. So now and again, that's where it's kind of break free. And I think a lot of times when I work with advisors, I tell them, hey, make a list of all the things I do on a daily basis. And yeah, let's take a look at what things are actually get you energized and which things, kind of go and suck the energy. What are the vampires that literally suck all of the energy,
Yep.
out of your life? And it's like, yeah, they still need to be done, but this opens up the opportunity to work with somebody like you going like, hey, let's go and figure out. So let me ask you this question. What kind of the best or the first hire somebody should do be like a virtual assistant or somebody that can take over? And I did this year with Anaí. She took over my email accounts and taking care of all of that stuff. It was just so weird to even thinking about it because I just been used to doing all of that. But now I don't even think about it. If something needs to be handled, she lets me know, right? Would you say that that's kind of the first hire, or what do you kind of see for that stressed out, busy business owner that's just like, okay, I just got to go and change something? What would that kind of first hire be?
Usually it is an executive assistant role. It does depend on the business and the business owner's personal skill set and what they want to offload. But yeah, generally speaking, an executive assistant is a great first hire because an executive assistant, especially if we're hiring out of the Philippines, it is probably the most diverse role. It is the role that we expect the executive assistant basically body doubles you as the business owner or the owner operator as much as humanly possible. So that does usually include managing your inbox and communications as much as possible. Um, I know this might sound weird, but like if you get a great one, you can have someone who you trust to actually answer messages for you. And make sure that you don't miss meetings and
Good.
do your scheduling. And if you're scheduling podcasts, for example, they can do all of that
Yeah.
coordination. um, make sure that your clients are paying you. I mean, I know the one thing that I identified that really takes my energy and I hate doing in my business, and it sounds silly, but I don't like to collect the money,
No,
right? I
I,
definitely want to make sure I get paid, but I really don't like to actually ask the client directly,
I think that's
"Could you pay
maybe
me?"
the
Right?
number one thing. I mean, tell you, I've had a client that was an accountant, account receivable over 90 days. And we're talking now hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm like, how,
Oh,
that's crazy. And some of them are even longer than 90 days. And it's like, so you got to go and fix that, right? But again, it's kind of like whatever business you're in, usually your own situation is the worst. And I'm like, you got to go and fix that. Like that doesn't make sense. But I think that is something that, because you want to be excited about your business and finding out those things that excite you. And yeah, if there's something that doesn't, you got to figure out how you bring somebody else in there, because that's actually making you money.
it
Because when
is.
you're energized and you're excited about your business, then you're going to be more productive. But if you have and you're doing something and you just don't want to do it, uh, your productivity just goes completely out the window. These are the type of pressures that advisors are dealing all the time. And we were just talking about, hiring, doing that first hire, having that executive assistant coming in. And I think for me, what you just mentioned with the emails, and yeah, I mean, I'm all of these podcasts, they're all done by her. She's handling all the scheduling and everything and making sure that my calendar is protected. But again, I had to go and create some of those rules. I think
Yes.
the biggest challenge for me as an owner was just even trying to figure out, there is the part hiring somebody, I think is the easy part, because that's just the money. The more difficult part is going and picking the right person and making sure that that person knows what to do. And I think that's where I know I struggled with, because I actually she was an appointment setter for me before when I had the agency, been working with her for now 6 years. And I've kind of gone and changed the rules. So we had to go and define, there were some SOPs and things, and we're still building that out. I think that
Hmm.
might be the biggest struggle that, individuals have when it comes down to hiring somebody. I take it that this is something that you help someone to actually do. Like you define what the roles are, and knowing exactly. So when they go and bring that person on, biggest struggle, like I mentioned to you, was just trying to figure out what is she going to do today. And I
Hmm.
spent half the day trying to come up with a role and stuff to do, whereas like I could have gone and done it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. That is actually finding the right person is not actually the biggest challenge. It is onboarding them properly, because onboarding is so important.
Mm.
And then continuous training and, development. And sometimes we don't feel qualified to be the person training and developing that person, right? Because, like, I don't know, I hired a web designer. How am I going to tell them what to do, right? Um,
And I think that's the expectation where I think a lot of business owners, I feel like, get burned by they thinking they're
yes,
hire somebody and thinking that they're going to have all of the answers. Just like I said, when we work with some advisors where it was like, well, you're the marketing guy. You tell me what to do. And it's like, no, hang on. Like, it's your business. Where do you want to take your business? Right. Well, I just want to get leads. And I'm like going, no, that's the wrong thing to say, because we're helping you bringing leads and do marketing for you. Yes. But it's got to plug into something, right? It can't just operate on its own. And I think this is where a lot of advisors getting wrong, where their expectation is not really set in the right place.
oh, I think you're totally right. I mean, and that's a whole different rabbit hole that we could go down, because I many years in agents marketing agencies, right, and transforming my own. Um, I feel like there's two things going on. Um, the owner is not taking enough responsibility
Mm.
upfront on, like, ownership of the development of this person. Like, their success really does lie with you. Even if you're not a specialist in what they do, you still need to provide, like, you go out and you find them training resources. Like, I can't tell you how often I'm buying courses and training materials and setting aside time for my team to continuously upskill.
Mm.
Does that mean that I'm an expert on it? And, no, but I can get validated trainings from other experts and make sure that I have my
Yep.
team focus on that. And that is usually a good remedy for well, I have somebody that I don't really know how to upskill and manage
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's where it comes down to. And I think that's where it could be the reason why a lot of individuals don't go and do it, because it seems doing it easier. But if you keep on doing the same thing, right, every day, you got to go in. Again, we talked about slowing down a little bit, and it's going, hang on, I can go and bring somebody on, where if my time is worth, and in my view, I think everybody times when you're the business owner, $100, we're like talking the minimum. We're talking like at least 1,000 or even 5,000 an hour. That's how somebody's got to think about themselves. And if literally you're doing something where you can go and pay somebody $10 an hour for, like what are you doing? And I know a lot of uh, entrepreneurs and business owners, they even go and don't do their own groceries and all of that stuff. It's not that they're going to put out lazy or somehow. They just understand time. And it's like, where is the time, right? You should be at work doing the work that you're doing and then maybe go and spend it with your family. But if you're doing activities where literally you can go and bring somebody else in that they can go and do them for you, you're actually leaking money. Like you're not making money. You're losing money, and investing that into somebody that can go and help you with that can be a huge difference.
Yes. Yes. And for the low cost of giving somebody your, weekly time and attention and providing them with, materials so that they can keep learning and making them feel like, a true part of your team. The I think that the value and the leverage that you can create with loyalty over time
Hmm.
is just so huge. And everything in our lives right now is so instant gratification based. We're like living in an age of AI.
Yeah.
I think everybody is just like, we expect everything fast and we see all these 20-year-olds on the internet, like, with these like AI businesses or whatever. And it seems like there's this echo chamber that everybody else is doing things better, faster, like they figured something out that we just, well, like, why can't I figure this out? And the thing is like, that's all an illusion. Consistency over time and doing the painful things and taking responsibility, that's the only thing that's going to get you there. And for me, it's been, I'm the last man standing. I've just been consistently doing this and taking licks and figuring it out for the last, almost 7 years now since I went into not working for corporate and figuring it out on my own, so it takes more time and more effort than you think, but it's worth it. Like, and definitely
100%.
that's true when
I've
you're building a team around you.
I've been unemployable for the last 30 years. I cannot go and imagine going
I
back to
love that.
corporate or doing any of all that stuff. Like I could maybe do it for like maybe 10 seconds and I said, forget this. This is not for me, because yeah,
Yeah, in my darkest moments, I tell myself, but you're not going back to corporate. So you're you're going to figure it out.
you
And
have
then
to figure
and
it
then I
out.
get right back on the saddle.
Yeah. No, exactly. No,
Yeah.
I think that's what it boils down to, right? Like there was no plan B. Like this is it. And again, that's why you got to pivot. You got to go and do certain things. But when it comes down to, I think what makes it easier is, yeah, having a team. I think making that decision, hey, you know what? I am going to go and build a team. And there's some, I'm going to call it preparation for it, but you got to go and do certain things. But once you get in there, then it's just a matter of growing it, right? And making sure that you're building it in the, in the right, in the right way. Uh, Listen, this has been really enjoyable. I think maybe we need to go and do another one. I think we might do another one from this. I
Yeah.
call them rapid fire questions. Just one kind of answer, whatever is the first that comes to your mind. What's the book that really has shaped your thinking as a business owner?
Well, I have been lucky enough to work with, like, directly with some of the people that I admire most, I guess, in business. And, you know, of course, I haven't worked directly with him, but Dan Martell's book,
Mm,
Buy Back Your Time, is a big one. I always talk about that one. But, another one of my favorites that I just pulled out recently is, well, I have it right. It's called Be Seen. My
okay.
coach and friend, Jen Gottlieb, wrote this, and it is about how, as entrepreneurs, we sometimes don't, we say we want to be seen, but we don't actually want to be seen. And so it really works through kind of like our psychology and like why we do this like push-pull thing and that we should actually just go out and be seen. And I think it's a good mindset book for entrepreneurs. I crack it open when I'm like feeling shy and I don't want to record, and I'm, like feeling like I don't want to put
Yeah.
my message out there this day for whatever reason.
No, that sounds good. Do you have a morning routine or habit that you kind of swear by?
I do. I tend to wake up early, and I try to do like no meetings, no screen time,
Mm.
catching up on like learning. Well, okay, I'll say I do some screen time because I do YouTube videos and stuff in the morning, but I try to do a lot of like my mindset stuff first thing in the morning, and taking care of anything that's going to stress me out later in
Mm.
the day. I try to just swallow the frog and just do it
Good.
during my quiet time while I'm drinking my coffee before my team's online. And so, yeah, that's more of my morning routine these days.
Oh, you do have to do something to reset. So no, that's great. What's
hmm
one bucket list item that you haven't crossed off yet?
Well, actually going to visit my team in the Philippines.
Ooh,
I hope to do that sometime in the next 12 months. But that would be really, really cool to go meet them all. So yeah, that's on the top of the bucket list right
that
now, I'd say.
that sounds like fun. Is there
Yeah.
a surprising hobby or interest that really recharges you outside of work?
Um, well, people who know me wouldn't find this surprising, but skiing.
Ooh,
And I'm really suffering this season because there is no snow and I have not been able to get out there yet. But that is my nature reset, get some dopamine, feel like reconnected to my body and myself, and then get back on the computer, reset.
oh, no, that's great. Well, you should come here. We've got a lot of snow this winter. We've had more snow than I ever remember having that. So I
Okay,
think
I mean, I might have to go travel to find snow
yeah.
sometime this season. So,
Yeah. Now, I've got this one last question. I called it a hard one. Fast forward to the end of your life. Imagine that everyone forgets everything that you ever taught them or that you have built, but they do remember kind of this one last message from you. What do you hope that they would remember that message to be?
mm, uh, a lot of what you've been taught about what you can have in life is not true.
Yeah.
And if you face your biggest fears and the things that you don't want to do most, you might actually get your dream on the other side of it, and it's worth
Mm.
it.
Oh, that's interesting from that perspective. That's what keep what is yours, right? And I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of us have gave it up
Yep.
freely, and we
Yep.
don't even know. And it's like we've got to go and reclaim it. The best picture that I have is kind of this that when we were born we were kind of perfect, and then over our lifetime we get all of these things that stick on us, and now we kind of look like a big lump of granite. And our
Mm-hmm.
job now, and my job right now, is just like figure out what are all of the extra bits and pieces that I need to go and chisel off of me so that I
Mm-hmm.
become the true self. So I think that's really the message that you have. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, Jenna,
Beautiful way to put it.
thanks. What a powerful and perspective shifting conversation. Jenna, thank you for sharing your journey. Where can people find out a little bit more about you and the work that you do?
You can go to my website. It's my name, JennaEvola.com. Or you can find me on Instagram, send me a DM, and we will chat. I would be excited to help anybody build their team or just figure out like, what should I do next when it comes to hiring? Those are fun conversations for
Mm,
me. So hit me up.
perfect. Awesome. So if you're listening, be sure to check out Jenna's website and resources. We'll include all the links in the show notes. Jenna, thank you again for your time and your message. And remember, making life less taxing isn't just about money. It's about freedom, clarity, and purpose. Keep building wealth, keep protecting your legacy, and keep living the untaxable lifestyle. We'll see you next time on the Make Life Less Taxing podcast. Thank you again, Jenna.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Make Life Less Taxing podcast. Be sure to check out our other top advisor interviews at makelifelesstaxingpodcast.com.